It's none other than the Lebanese president now, saying that the army needs to confront Israel. Joseph Aoun, the Lebanese president, instructing the Lebanese army to confront Israeli incursions. Hezbollah praising the stance too. So why is he saying that now? Well, yesterday they had an attack in which they killed one member of the civil authority in one of the areas, so an employee of the state technically. I mean, they've done that before. They killed Lebanese soldiers, they killed Lebanese people, civilians, healthcare staff, and journalists as well, during the time where it was in flames between the Lebanese resistance and the Israeli genocidal entity. What's the shift now, however, with the president? This is the president whose government was talking about disarming the Lebanese resistance under the pressure of Tom Barak, the envoy of the United States administration to the Levant area, primarily Lebanon and Syria, and he's based in Turkey too. Well, the repeated Israeli aggression, the total lack of respect of Israel to the agreements that they had with Lebanon, constant breaches of the ceasefire, now it appears that they've had enough. He instructed the Lebanese army to confront Israel to prevent them from any incursions after they had an incursion in one of the villages in South Lebanon, saying that it's not enough to say and ask the guarantors to stop the Israeli incursions, and the Lebanese army needs to resist them. He said tasaddi in Arabic. Tasaddi means confront, to resist, tackle, stop. So are we going to see the Lebanese army beginning to fight with Israel? I mean, if you ask me personally, my instinct is I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, I'll believe it when an Israeli soldier is shot, when there are casualties from the Israeli terror forces side. That's my instinct. However, if we want to look through it from a general, broader thing, well, the statement is new. That's number one. However, we did not have, being realistic here, the Lebanese army targeting Israel. Firstly, you're talking about 80 to 90,000 people. They're not equipped with what a normal army needs to be equipped with. Their equipment is for internal policing. And as a matter of fact, some of Lebanon's worst adversaries confirmed that, the Lebanese army is there to police Lebanon and to disarm the Lebanese resistance. But there's been a year now almost since the ceasefire took effect with Lebanon. The Lebanese government is getting more tired now with this Israeli nonsense, of course, totally backed by the United States administration. Saying that, however, the American administration has a very good relationship with the Lebanese army. Who's benefiting from this? Hezbollah are benefiting from this. How? Well, Hezbollah, if you recall, when Al-Aqsa flood started, Hezbollah on the 8th of October were the first front to participate as a supporting front. They did not declare an all-out war. They said supporting front, limited actions against Israel, and the purpose behind it was clarified clearly at the time by the Secretary General of Hezbollah, the late Secretary General of Hezbollah at the time, Hassan Nasrallah, who said that we are there to support the Palestinian resistance and the Palestinian population in Gaza, and also extract some of these forces to the north so they don't use all of them in the south. And they did. Over 30% of the Israeli ground troops were positioned in the north at one point. At one point it went up, especially after certain de-escalations in Gaza. The Israeli Air Force, the Israeli resources. However, it reached the peak of a war if not like an all-out war, but it reached a level of a proper war between the Lebanese resistance and Israel, when Benjamin Netanyahu started to face pressure and decided that he needs to escalate against Lebanon. Then we had a ceasefire. Ever since then, the talks were about disarming the Lebanese resistance to the south of the Litani River. However, Hezbollah said that's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, when the Lebanese government issued a statement to confirm the disarmament, or that the state will disarm the Lebanese resistance, Hezbollah told them we're going to treat it as if it never happened. And it's not going to happen because they knew where it was coming from. It wasn't coming as a Lebanese consensus move. It wasn't coming as an internal concern. It was coming as a demand from the Trump administration. In particular, of course, Tom Barak and the American ambassador in Lebanon. You need to disarm. Why? Disarm so that no one can confront Israel. At the end of the day, it was the Lebanese resistance who liberated the Lebanese lands following the Israeli invasions in 1982 and in other years as well. And it was the Lebanese resistance that posed a deterrence for Israel and actually prevented them from more occupation when the war was at its peak. Now that this tone has shifted from the Lebanese government, the main side benefiting here is Hezbollah. Hezbollah, from their perspective, they released a statement. They said that they condemn the Zionist crime in the town of Blida and holds Washington responsible. Washington responsible, well, number one, because they should be guaranteeing a ceasefire and taming the Zionist murderers, but instead they've had a side agreement with Israel that allows them to get away with murder, even if that isn't embedded in the original ceasefire agreement, similar to what they're doing now in Gaza. You know, that the side agreement that they always have. And they said, okay, you're responsible and we condemn this attack. But they also said that they welcome the response coming from the Lebanese president. Hezbollah commended the president's directive to the Lebanese army to confront Israeli incursions, calling for the army to be provided with all necessary resources to bolster its defensive capabilities and to receive the political backing it needs to confront this enemy. Okay, how is that exactly going to happen? The Lebanese army isn't really well equipped to do hardly anything with Israel. And the Americans know that very well. The Israelis know that very well. And before that, the equation was, well, the Lebanese resistance has this deterrence against Israel, and the Lebanese army is a national army. Now, the Lebanese army, by the way, it was offered power. It was offered weapons. Do you know who offered them to the Lebanese army? Iran, the same main backer of Hezbollah. They told them, we'll arm you, no problem. But they said, no, we can't, because if they're viewed as, an army being armed by Iran, then, well, that's not going to please the arrogant powers, of course, that are there to serve Israel with the level of infiltration of Zionism in these countries, who have a relationship with Lebanon. Are we going to see something else now? Well, the statements are there. It was an order given to the Lebanese army. There could be something here in coordination with the American side to try and take Israel a step back. How likely is that to succeed? Well, we're going to have to see. And like I said, we'll believe it when we see it. At the end of the day, it was Israel killing Lebanese. In the past year, we didn't see any Israeli being killed from any attacks coming from Lebanon, whether from the Lebanese resistance or the Lebanese army. And from a resistance perspective, it's because they were adhering to an agreement that they had entered. Unlike, of course, the Israeli side that didn't honor any agreement. And then they actually went and said that, oh, no, we have a side agreement with the American administration. We can do whatever we want. That's on the Lebanese front. Now, add to that the fact that Ansarullah in Yemen said that if Israel, well, they warned Israel from continuing the breaches in Lebanon in somewhat of a threat that if this opens again, well, our front will be active again. They also said they were monitoring the ceasefire in Gaza very closely. Clearly, they're in high coordination levels, both with Gaza and Lebanon too. That might open as well. And then if that opens, well, Hezbollah will have the full legitimacy. No one's going to be talking about disarming anyone here. Tom Barak himself admitted that Israel makes it difficult for us to continue with any plans to disarm the Lebanese resistance because they're attacking everyone. Well, of course they are, just as they have been for this whole time. And that's why there is something called resistance in that area. Resistance to what? Resistance to constant oppression and terrorism from this entity that believes that everyone should be subjugated to it and to them. That's not the case with the people of the region. No, you don't have people who obey the occupier. And they said, no, if you're not going to give us our rights, we're going to resist. And now, with Israel's strategic stupidity, led by its arrogance, by the way, they're leading the Lebanese state, the same country that, or the same state or government that they were relying on to disarm Hezbollah, to take a resisting position. That's in essence an order to resist an Israeli incursion. But again, we will believe it when we see it. So next time there's an Israeli invasion, we'll see what happens, and then things will go from there. But what's for sure is this is another step going to the side of the Lebanese resistance, proving to an extent that their patience in this period is effective or has been effective, because these moves are proving their position to be the right position. Now, Israel, on the other hand, if it does go ahead with the agreements that are there and starts attacking, it faces a confrontation that will be totally legitimate and has been, by the way, for the past, not just a year or two, by the way, for the past decades. Israel breached the agreement that they had with Lebanon in 2006 regularly. Reports tens of thousands of times, whether by invading the Lebanese airspace or an attack here or an attack there or whatever it is. So if they do conduct an attack, should they face resistance from the Lebanese army, then that's an attack on the state of Lebanon. You're talking about not an attack against a group in Lebanon. No, it's an attack on the state of Lebanon.